Hello children, today we are going to do the revision of lesson 9 of your English 1, that is verbs, present and past tense. Okay, we have already done the revision of the previous lesson, verbs, and in which we learned that the doing words are called verbs, means the words that shows action are called verbs. And today we are going to revise about present and past tense. Okay, so we have learned that verb tells us what somebody or something does or has done. Okay, and verb also tells us when something is done or when something was done, when the action, the time of action, when the action took place. Okay, so we can say that a verb not only tells us about the action, but it also tells us the time of action, when actually that thing took place. Okay, and it also tells us that whether the thing is done now or the thing has been done in the past. Okay, so the verb tells us the time of action also. Like if I say that he plays. Okay, he plays or Ram plays. So Ram plays means at the present Ram is playing, Ram plays. If I say Ram played cricket yesterday or Ram studied yesterday, so it means that the action has been done in the past. Okay, I teach or I am teaching. This is the action which is going on at present. I taught you yesterday. Verbs. Okay, means the action has already taken place in the past. So we can say that the verb tells us the time of action, when the action is actually taking place. Okay, so the tense of the verb shows the time when the action is done or the action was done. Okay, so this is the brief about present tense and past tense. Present tense shows us the action which is done in the present time, which is taking place at the time of speaking, you can say. Okay, and past tense tells us the action which has already taken place in the past, which is already finished, that is past. So children, I want to take the revision of actually the book exercise also. So I will just show you the exercise and then I will keep on explaining. In that way you will be able to understand in a better way. Okay, so let's start. So children, open page number 32. Present tense. To show that a verb is in the present tense, we either use the verb as it is or add an s or es to it. Okay, so if we want to make the present tense of a word, how do we make it? We can use it, we can use the word as it is. Okay, there is no need to change the word, or we may require to add either s or es to it. Let's see how. If suppose we take the word do. Okay, do is the word, do is the action, it is a verb, right? So let's see how can we make it in present and past tense. I, if we use with I do, means we use the word as it is, there is no change. Okay, we do. With plural, we don't add s to the verb. So we do, you do. And I also told you that with I and you, we never add s to the verb. Okay, whether it is, you can be singular also, you can be plural also, but in both the cases we don't add s. So you do, the word will be as it is. Now see this one, he, she, it. He means one boy, one man. She means one girl or one woman, and it means one maybe animal or anything. Okay, so we say does. See, we have added es to it. Okay, so with singular case we add s or es to the verb, and in this case we have added es. Now they is plural, so we will not add s, so they do. Okay, so I do, we do, you do, he, she, it does, they do. Okay, don't write they, does. They is plural. We will not write any s or es here. Now let's take another verb, go. I, singular. With I we don't add any s or es. I go. We is plural, so we will not add s to the verb. So we go. With you also we don't add s or es, so you go. He, she, it goes. Okay, they plural, so no s or es. They go. I sleep. We sleep. You sleep. He, she, it sleeps. Here we have added s to the verb. They sleep. I eat. We eat. You eat. He, she, it eats. Okay, we add s to this singular subject. They eat. They is plural, so we will not add anything. Next is, to show that a verb that ends in y is the present tense, we either use the verb as it is or usually drop the final y and add ies to the verb. Now see, if I take the word cry, okay, so cry is ending with y. So how I'll use it with I cry. I will not say I cries. Okay, with I we don't add s. So simply I cry. We is plural, so again no s. Same word, we cry. You, no change, no s, so you cry. Now he, she, it, we have to add s. So how we'll do? We'll not write crys. It is wrong. We will remove this y, this end and this last y alphabet. We will remove it, and in place of that, what we will add? ies. So it becomes he cries, she cries, it cries. Okay. They is again plural, so no s or ies. So simply they cry. Similar example again. I try, we try, you try, he, she, it tries. They try. Now let's see of past tense. To form the past tense of a verb, usually add ed to the verb. Most of the cases we simply add ed and make it in the past tense. Like call becomes called, we add ed to the verb. Show plus ed becomes showed. Walk plus ed becomes walked. Talk plus ed becomes talked. So simply by adding ed we make it in the past tense. Like see some this examples are given. Help, helped. Hunt, hunted. Fear, feared. Walk, walked. Mix, mixed. Turn, turned. Jump, jumped. Pick, picked. Chew, chewed. Guess, guessed. Fill, filled. Pull, pulled. Talk, talked. Fix, fixed. Test, tested. In all these words you can see that we have added ed to the original word and it becomes in past tense. Okay. In some cases what happens, the last letter of some verbs are doubled when ed is added to them. Okay, like if I take the example of knit, 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 knit means binna. Okay, so in this we have to add ed, so we will not simply write knit, no, we have to first double the last letter. Okay, and then we add ed, like kni double ted. Okay, if I take this shop, sho double ped. Fan, FANNED, fanned. Sop, SOBBED. So in some words we double the last letter and then we add ed to it. Okay. Now let's see the exercise part. Rewrite. Rewrite means, children, you have to write in the full sentence form. Always remember this. Okay. Otherwise your marks will get cut in the exam. Rewrite the sentences changing the tense of the underlined verbs from the present to the past by adding ed. Now what you have to do, you have to rewrite the sentence, and what you have to do, you have to change the tense. These underlined verbs are there now. You have to change it from present. It is given in present and you have to make it in the past. Bunty always bats first. Bunty always batted first. Now see, T is doubled, and then ed is added. Batted. Sonia grips her bag firmly. Sonia gripped her bag firmly. GRIPPED. Okay. The dress fits Neeti perfectly. The dress fitted. Double TED. Neeti perfectly. Every winter, Mrs. Miller knits jumpers for Harry and Ron. Every winter, Mrs. Miller knitted, K-N-I-T-T-E-D, jumpers for Harry and Ron. The crowd clapped their hands at the end of the show. The crowd clapped, P-E-D, clapped their hands at the end of the show. The tap drips all night. The tap dripped, D-R-I-P-P-E-D, dripped all night. My sister pins her hair up before going out. My sister pinned, P-I-N-N-E-D, pinned her hair up before going out. Mrs. Sinha fans herself with a pretty lace fan. Mrs. Sinha fanned, F-A-N-N-E-D, fanned herself with a pretty lace fan. So in all these words, what we have done? We have doubled the last letter. One thing you can notice here, children, when we double the last letter, always the last letter before that there is a vowel. If you take the word bats, so before T, A is there. Before P, I is there. Before T, I is there. Before T, again I is there. Before P, A is there. Before P, I is there. Before N, I is there. And before N, A is there. So you must have noticed that before the last letter always means most of the cases vowel is there. In that case we double the last letter. Okay. Now next, let's turn the page here. Fifi Frog hops into the pond at the end of the field. Fifi Frog hopped into the pond at the end of the field. Now see here, before P, O is there. Vowel is there. That means you will double the last letter. S is there. S is not the last letter. The original word is what? The original word is hop. So last letter is P. Okay. And before the last letter, vowel is there. Right. So if before the last letter vowel is there, then we double the last letter and add ed to it. The naughty elf grins and drops pots and pans on the floor. Now see, grins. The grin is the original word. So before N, I is there, vowel. So it will be G-R-I-N-N-E-D to make it past. Drops. Now to make it past tense, what we will do? Before V, vowel, O is there. So we will double the last letter P and add ed to it and make it dropped. Okay. If the verb ends in E, we just add D to it to form the past tense. Now if the word ends with E, like L-O-V-E, love, ending with E, we simply add D and make it loved. Hate, E ending with E, simply add D and make it hated. Move, ending in E, with E, we add D to it and make it moved. Add D to the following verbs to form their past tense. One has been done for you. Hope, hoped. Describe, described. Close, closed. Tie, tied. Live, lived. Smile, smiled. Believe, believed. Like, liked. Save, saved. Dance, danced. Graze, grazed. Use, used. So in all these words, it is ending with E and we have simply added D to make it past tense. Now present to past, we can change the tense of a verb from the present to the past in many ways. The following are some of the ways in which this can be done. What are the ways? Let's see. If the verb in the present tense ends in S or ES, we drop the S or ES and add D or ED. He likes potato chips. He liked potato chips. He fears the dark. He feared the dark. He washes his own clothes. He washed his own clothes. Now see, this is all in present tense and we make it in the past tense by just simply adding ed to it. See this one, D1, page number 35. Change the tense of the following verbs from the present to the past by dropping the final S and adding D or ed. Lies, lied. Talks, talked. Moves, moved. Flows, flowed. dares, dared, dives, dived, joins, joined, chases, chased, cares, cared, rows, rode, tastes, tasted, stays, stayed. Now in all these words we have removed s and we have added ed to make it in the past tense. If the verb in the present tense ends in ies, we drop the final s and add d, like tries, tries ending with ies. And how do we make it in the past? By adding d. See, removing s, final s, and just adding d. Cries, cried, lies, lied. Let's see this exercise. Change the tense of the underlined verbs from the present to the past by dropping the final s and adding d or ed. Okay, one has been done. Let's see. Tony walks home from school. So walks becomes walked. Mrs. Singh bakes cakes for me. Bakes become baked. Neha likes a book more than her toys. Likes become liked. Karan never misses his music lessons. Misses become missed. See, we are dropping final s and we are adding d. Okay. The artist paints beautiful picture. Paints becomes painted. Polly pours out tea from the blue teapot. Pours becomes poured. P-O-U-R-E-D. Poured. In the story, the prince marries Cinderella. Marries becomes married. Okay. Now let's turn the page. The teacher asks them to spell some new words. Asks becomes asked. The baby cries aloud. Cries becomes cried. The cook fries eggs for them every morning. Fries becomes fried. The lion roars in its den. Roars becomes roared. She combs her hair every morning and night. Combs becomes combed. The dog guards its bone. Guards becomes guarded. Mimi cares for the plants in her garden. Cares becomes cared. Robin shares his sweets with his friends. Shares becomes shared. Okay. In all these words, we have dropped the last s and we have added d to it. Okay. So if the words end with ies, we just simply remove this s and we add d. Okay. And see here, it ends with s. We removed s and we added ed to it. So we will add d or ed to the word accordingly to make it in the past tense. Okay. So I hope this revision is clear to you children. Thank you.